Eren Yeager's transformation from humanity's hope to its greatest threat represents one of anime's most devastating protagonist reversals. For most of the series, Eren fought desperately to protect his friends and free humanity from the Titans, but his discovery of the truth about the outside world changed everything. When Eren learned that there was an entire world beyond the walls that viewed his people as devils, and that this world was planning their complete annihilation, his perspective shifted dramatically. The same determination that had driven him to fight Titans now focused on a much darker goal. Eren's activation of the rumbling, releasing millions of colossal Titans to flatten the entire world, transformed him from protector to genocidal destroyer. The boy who had cried over humanity's suffering became willing to commit the largest genocide in history. What makes Eren's fall so tragic is that it was motivated by love for his friends rather than hatred for his enemies. He genuinely believed that destroying the outside world was the only way to ensure his loved ones could live freely, making his evil actions stem from heroic motivations. The final battle wasn't against some external threat, but against Eren himself. The former protagonist had become the ultimate enemy that his own friends had to stop, even if it meant killing the person they had fought so hard to save. Light Yagami began as a brilliant student with a strong sense of justice who wanted to create a better world. When he found the Death Note, his initial goal was noble, eliminating criminals to make society safer, but absolute power corrupted him completely. Light's transformation from idealistic hero to megalomaniacal god complex happened gradually but inevitably. Each use of the Death Note made it easier to justify the next killing, and his criteria for who deserved to die expanded from hardened criminals to anyone who opposed his vision. By the series' end, Light had become Kira, a divine figure who demanded worship and killed anyone who threatened his rule. The boy who had wanted to protect innocent people was now murdering law enforcement officers, innocent bystanders, and even his own family members. Light's downfall came when his former allies, El, Nier, and Mello, became the heroes trying to stop him. The detective story that had started with Light as the brilliant protagonist pursuing justice ended with him as the serial killer that true heroes had to defeat. The final confrontation revealed Light's complete transformation. He showed no remorse for his crimes and continued believing he was righteous, even as he was exposed as a mass murderer who had lost all connection to his original ideals. Griffith started as the charismatic leader of the Band of the Hawk, inspiring loyalty and admiration from his followers who believed in his dream of creating a peaceful kingdom. His relationship with Guts was built on mutual respect and shared ideals about changing the world. When Griffith's body was broken and his dream seemed impossible, he was faced with a choice that would define his true character. The eclipse revealed that his noble aspirations were built on a foundation of absolute selfishness and ambition. Griffith's transformation into Femto required him to sacrifice everyone who had ever believed in him. The man who had inspired such loyalty repaid it by feeding his most devoted followers to demons for the sake of his personal ascension. As the reborn Griffith leading the new Band of the Hawk, he achieved his original dream of creating a kingdom, but it was built on the corpses of those who had helped him rise to power. His subjects worship him without knowing the true cost of their salvation. The final phase of Berserk positions Griffith, not as the noble leader he once appeared to be, but as the ultimate antagonist whose kingdom represents everything dark about unchecked ambition and the willingness to sacrifice others for personal goals. Sasuke began as one of the protagonists of Team 7, fighting alongside Naruto and Sakura to protect their village and complete their missions. His initial goal of avenging his clan seemed understandable, even noble, given the tragedy he had experienced. Sasuke's gradual descent into darkness accelerated when he learned the truth about Itachi and the Uchiha massacre. Instead of finding peace in understanding his brother's sacrifice, Sasuke's hatred transferred to the village that had ordered his family's destruction. By the Fourth Great Ninja War's end, Sasuke had decided that the only way to achieve true peace was through revolution. He would kill the 5 Kage, destroy the current system, and rule the world as an immortal dictator who would bear all hatred. Sasuke's final battle with Naruto wasn't about the Uchiha clan or Itachi's legacy, it was about 2 completely different visions for the world's future. Sasuke had become convinced that only through absolute control and the elimination of the current order could lasting peace be achieved. The boy who had once fought to protect his teammates now stood ready to kill his best friend to implement his vision of revolutionary justice, making him the final obstacle to the peaceful world that Naruto represented. Homura began as a shy, weak student who was saved by Madoka's kindness and magical girl powers. Her initial motivation was pure, She wanted to protect Madoka and prevent the tragic fate that awaited magical girls in every timeline. Through countless time loops, Homura's desperate attempts to save Madoka gradually corrupted her original noble intentions. Each failure hardened her heart and made her more willing to sacrifice others for her singular goal of protecting the one person she loved. Homura's transformation reached its peak in rebellion when she rejected Madoka's sacrifice and rewrote reality to trap her in a world where she could be happy. This act of love became the ultimate act of selfishness and control. By becoming the devil to Madoka's god, Homura positioned herself as the antagonist to the hope and sacrifice that Madoka represented. Her actions, while motivated by love, directly opposed everything Madoka had tried to achieve. Homura's final form represents the ultimate corruption of heroic love. Ash. She became willing to destroy the salvation that Madoka had provided to all magical girls just to keep the person she loved trapped in a reality of her own design. Kaneki started as an ordinary college student who was thrust into the ghoul world against his will. His initial struggle was about maintaining his humanity while learning to survive as a half-ghoul, representing the conflict between two worlds. As Kaneki grew stronger and more involved in ghoul politics, his methods became increasingly extreme. His desire to protect both humans and ghouls led him to take on more and more responsibility, eventually becoming a leader in the ghoul community. Kaneki's transformation into the One-Eyed King represented his complete embrace of his ghoul nature and his willingness to wage war against human society. The boy who had wanted to bridge two worlds became the leader of one side against the other. In the final arcs, Kaneki's actions as the One-Eyed King positioned him as the primary threat to human-ghoul coexistence. His methods, while intended to create peace, involved tactics that made him indistinguishable from the terrorists he had once opposed. The series' resolution required other characters to either support or oppose Kaneki's vision, with the former protagonist having become the central figure whose choices would determine the fate of both species. Akira Fudo began as a kind-hearted teenager who merged with the demon Amon to protect humanity from the demon invasion. His transformation into Devilman was meant to give him the power needed to save the world while retaining his human heart. As the war between humans and demons escalated, Akira's efforts to protect both sides led to increasingly tragic consequences. His attempts to prove that demons and humans could coexist were met with fear, hatred, and violence from both species. The revelation that his best friend Ryo was actually Satan and that their friendship had been part of a cosmic conflict shattered Akira's worldview and drove him to embrace his demonic nature more completely. In the final battle, Akira's fight against Satan wasn't just about saving humanity, it was about proving that love and friendship could overcome the cosmic forces that had manipulated their entire relationship. But this battle ultimately destroyed everything he had tried to protect. Akira's transformation from protector to destroyer was complete when his final battle with Satan resulted in the annihilation of all life on Earth, making him complicit in the very apocalypse he had tried to prevent. While Guts never became a traditional final villain, his transformation into the Beast of Darkness represents a protagonist becoming consumed by the very forces he fought against. His struggle with the Berserker armor and his inner darkness positioned him as a potential threat to everyone around him. Guts' journey from a hopeful young mercenary to the Black Swordsman consumed by revenge shows how trauma and loss can corrupt even the most determined heroes. His single-minded pursuit of Griffith led him to embrace increasingly dark methods. The Beast of Darkness within Guts represents his potential to become the monster that his enemies saw him as. His willingness to sacrifice his own humanity for the power to fight apostles and demons made him similar to the creatures he hunted. During his darkest moments, Guts became a threat to the very people he was trying to protect. His rage and the influence of the brand of sacrifice made him dangerous to Casca, Farnese, and others who tried to help him. While Guts ultimately chose to reclaim his humanity, his journey shows how easily a protagonist can become the villain of their own story when they lose sight of what they're fighting for beyond revenge and violence. Tetsuo began as Kaneda's loyal friend, a weak kid who looked up to his stronger companion and dreamed of being more than just a follower. His acquisition of psychic powers seemed like the answer to his feelings of inferiority and powerlessness. As Tetsuo's abilities grew, so did his arrogance and disconnection from his humanity. The power that was supposed to make him equal to Kaneda instead made him see his former friends as insignificant insects beneath his notice. Tetsuo's transformation into a cosmic horror threatened not just Neo-Tokyo, but all of existence. The boy who had wanted recognition and respect became a force of destruction that could unmake reality itself. The final confrontation between Tetsuo and Kaneda represented the complete reversal of their original relationship. Kaneda, the stronger friend, now had to stop Tetsuo, whose power had grown beyond all comprehension but who had lost all connection to his humanity. Tetsuo's merger with Akira and his transcendence beyond physical form completed his transformation from sympathetic underdog to cosmic threat that required the intervention of other psychic children to contain. While Simon never became evil, his potential transformation into a spiral nemesis represents how even the most heroic protagonist could become the ultimate threat to the universe. His story explores what happens when a hero's power grows beyond all reasonable limits. Simon's journey from a timid digger to the most powerful being in the universe was driven by his determination to protect those he loved and break through any limitation. But this same drive could theoretically lead to the destruction of everything. The anti-spiral's entire existence was based on preventing beings like Simon from evolving too far and becoming spiral nemeses, cosmic destroyers who would unravel reality through their unlimited growth and ambition. During the final battle, Simon had to prove that he could wield ultimate power without becoming the very threat that the anti-spirals feared. His restraint and wisdom were what separated him from becoming a universe-destroying force. Simon's choice to retire from active leadership and live a simple life represented his rejection of the path that would have led to him becoming a spiral nemesis, showing how true heroes know when to stop accumulating power. Lelouch began as an exiled prince who wanted to destroy the Britannian Empire that had abandoned his sister and conquered Japan. His early actions as Zero were clearly heroic, freeing the oppressed and fighting against tyranny. As Lelouch gained more power and his methods became more extreme, the line between hero and villain became increasingly blurred. His willingness to sacrifice anyone for his goals made him similar to the tyrants he opposed. Lelouch's acquisition of absolute Geas power and his eventual coronation as Emperor of Britannia completed his transformation from rebel hero to the ultimate symbol of oppression. He became everything he had originally fought against. The Zero Requiem plan revealed that Lelouch's final villainous role was deliberate. He made himself the world's greatest enemy so that his death would unite humanity in peace. His heroic sacrifice required him to first become the ultimate villain. Lelouch's final moments showed that he had always remained the hero of his own story, but to everyone else, he had become the tyrant whose death was necessary for world peace. While Makima was revealed to be the control devil, her early presentation as a mentor and ally to Denji positioned her as a protagonist figure before the truth about her nature was revealed. Makima's apparent care for Denji and her role in training him seemed genuinely supportive, making her eventual reveal as the primary antagonist more shocking. Her entire relationship with Denji was built on manipulation and control. As the control devil, Makima's goals weren't traditionally evil. She wanted to create a world without fear, death, and suffering. But her methods involved complete domination of human will and the elimination of free choice. Makima's final battle with Chainsaw Man revealed that she had been orchestrating events from the beginning to create the perfect opponent and the perfect world. Her love for Chainsaw Man was genuine, but it was the possessive love of an owner for a pet. The revelation that Makima had always been the final boss recontextualized her entire relationship with Denji and forced readers to reconsider every moment of apparent kindness or support she had shown.